Welcome to Thesis video number 1. So in this video, we're going to kind of learn how you actually create a thesis. So what a thesis is it's essentially going to tell the reader what your paper is about, what arguments you're going to take, and it's actually pretty specific. So in turn, writing a thesis is going to be a fairly lengthy thinking process. Formulating a thesis is not the first thing you do after reading an essay assignment. Before you actually develop an argument or any topic, you have to collect and organize evidence. Look for relationships of facts, which would be similarities and differences, and then think about how they connect with each other. We have already done that research. We have looked at the ideas of Alexander Hamilton and the Federalists and Thomas Jefferson and the Republicans. So once you actually do this thinking, you probably have some sort of idea in your head where you want to go and what you want to write about. And that is your main idea or your argument that you can support with evidence. Both the argument and your thesis are likely to need adjustments along the way. That is an important concept. It doesn't have to be perfect from the beginning. So here are some indicators of how you know your thesis is strong. You have to ask yourself, do I answer the research question? Reread the question prompt and make sure that it fits exactly what the teacher is asking. Ask yourself, have I taken position that others might challenge or oppose? This is your argument. You're not just simply stating facts. Okay, you have to take a side that someone would disagree with or agree with. Is my thesis statement specific enough? So does it contain words like good or successful? If it does, probably want to be a little more specific. It's okay if the thesis is a longer sentence using those descriptors, so make sure it is specific. Ask yourself, does my thesis pass the so what test? If a reader's response is likely to be, okay, well, why is this important? Then you probably need to clarify and be a little more specific. Does my essay support my thesis specifically without wandering? Your thesis is your roadmap to your paper. If your paper wanders from your thesis, it's probably in a red category, which means it doesn't fit in your paper. Your thesis is your roadmap. And then finally, does my thesis pass the how and why test? If a reader's response is how or why, your thesis is probably too open-ended. Okay, so you could probably see how you can refine that and maybe take a better position. Here's an example of maybe how we can refine a thesis. So say that our paper topic is to compare and contrast the reasons why the North and South fought the Civil War. Pretty open-ended question. A lot of opinions can fit into that. The thesis you create is the North and South fought the Civil War for many reasons, some of which were the same and some were different. Okay? So this is actually a weak thesis because it does not provide any additional information. It does not tell the reader where you are heading. A reader of this weak thesis might think, what reasons? How are they the same? How are they different? You got to ask yourself these same questions and begin to compare northern and southern attitudes. Maybe you think the South believes slavery was right, the North thought slavery was wrong. When you actually get those specific reasons, then you want to push your thesis to be a little more specific and actually tell your reader which side each believed. Since you wrote that thesis, the teacher said, hey, gotta be more specific, gotta tell me more. So you look again at your evidence. You decide what you're going to argue, and you're going to say that the North believed slavery was immoral, while the South believed it upheld the Southern way of life. Okay? Perfect. Therefore, you create this thesis. While both sides fought the Civil War over the issue of slavery, the North fought for moral reasons, while the South fought to preserve its own institutions. Now you have a working thesis. It's important to remember this concept though. So included in this working thesis is a reason for the war and some idea of how the two sides disagreed over this reason. As you write the essay, you might begin to characterize these differences a little more precisely. And your working thesis may actually seem a little too vague after you dive into your research. That is okay. So like I said, you may stumble across some other reasons, and you can change your thesis to be more precise. That is 100% fine. So, you do research, you figure out more precise reasons, you finally come to this last thesis. While both Northerners and Southerners believed they fought against tyranny and oppression, Northerners focused on oppression of slaves, while Southerners defended their own right to government. This would be an absolutely perfect thesis for the paper topic, compare and contrast the reasons why the North and South fought the Civil War. It's very specific. You can take one side to it, you can argue it, and it has meaning to why it is important.